see here is I made a little bit of progress. I went ahead and cut my prop cutout free, my motor mount area cut out. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull these out. I installed my second piece of carbon, sealed it in, just like I showed in the other part. Same thing with the leading edge, it's done too. The other thing would be is this tool here. It's just a blade that's glued to a piece of 2mm chloroplast. And the reason is something that I kind of did in haste doing this video, is when we originally routed this out, just this center section out the top, it would have actually been better to route the whole thing down so that it had been flush on the bottom. But that's where this tool comes in. And I'll show you why. Is the blade is roughly 2 millimeters, and it does take a little bit longer doing this way, but it's just as accurate. And especially those that don't have a router handy, you just keep making passes until you get it cut out. And on the backside edge, which is why I cut that angle in there, it gives you something to work with here. You can see, even in a confined space, I can just line up the chloroplast with the top and cut that free. But the same thing was done here, because that is a smaller edge. I was able to cut that out. Another example would be this here. I'm lining this up flush with the chloroplast, and I'm just dragging a blade, keeping this edge flush with the top of the foam. If you have to roll it over on the side, you can do that. Just kind of use it like a saw. And it comes right off. As long as you're patient with it, and just do a little bit at a time, you'll be fine. Now I've got that area free. Also, you'll notice I've got my slot here, because you'll probably need 2 extensions depending on your equipment, how wide your battery bay is, stuff like that. This is my speed control bay. It'll probably need 1. My servo wire will be long enough to make it over here. If it's not, you'll need to run 2 extensions. And then here on the other side is my motor wires for my speed control. So it's probably a good idea to put your speed control in, put your wires down and into the battery bay. Set these wires in place, or make this big enough that you can do it afterward. Put a piece of string through there so you can pull your wires through however you need to do it. May have to take the plug off. You don't make it wide enough for that to fish through. But this is another way of hiding your wires but still being able to get to them. Now I went ahead and the easiest thing to do is to trim the outline just like I did before. Use tool here. I'm going to use the carbon as a guide for my marks. Same thing on both sides. I'll cut these off. You may have to make a few cuts. And I got it flipped over here. I'm going to trim this down to size. And what this will do is it'll, those of you who are using a router, it'll help you have a base to use your router on. And if you're not using a router, you'll still be able to use your tool. It's not going to affect anything there. Double check and make sure you're flush with your foam where the coroplast meets. If you have to remove any material, it's a good idea to do that. So that it fits as like it's supposed to. Reinsert that piece of foam, and then just pay attention to where your glue goes. Take my scrap piece of foam here. I don't want that to get in that where I'm going to lay my other piece of coroplast. It's important for that to be flush because when you do your glassing, it can't be sticking up. It'll create an uneven edge. to smooth out. I still have this side to do with my router, and I should kind of show you briefly here because you have to pick your battle wisely with it. It's dependent on the base of the router, but I start here, which is the hardest part to get. I work these areas where I have the widest area for my base to touch, and before I do up here, I'll start here and work my way out to my line, and then go over here since I have surface here and get that. But the best thing to do is go ahead and do your outline prior to that. And then route it out. Anywhere where you can't get with the router, this tool comes in handy, and you can finish trim it with this. The other option would be your blade. As long as you lay it flush, you can trim off areas that you missed. Just clean that up real easy, real quick. And the glue sometimes causes a problem on the edge of this, so you just go across it. Just double check it. Then when you're cutting your coroplast, like I did here, you got a compound angles here, so you definitely want to get your length first. Make your mark there, transfer it up there. You can flip it over if you need to, make it easier.